Hello, good afternoon, everybody. I'm very excited to be here, and I'm very excited to start with a personal story. So I was introduced as coming from Warsaw, Poland, but really originally I'm from Chicago. And about 20 years ago, I went over to Poland to be part of the whole modernization of the financial sector. And there I built the first internet bank. Later I joined HSBC and was driving innovation there. Also ran a bank in the Czech Republic. So I thought I was really, really hot shit, right? I mean, I thought I was really super innovative, you know, great guy and everything like this and doing really cool stuff. And then about 3 years ago, I met this guy, Andrew Horoszczak, who's here in the audience. He's the CEO, he's the founder, he's the visionary of a new architecture for moving data and money. And I realized that what I was doing was really just putting innovation on top of a layer of decades-old technology. Now, at first I was skeptical, and at first I said, well, this kind of feels like, you know, blockchain, Bitcoin, stuff like this. And he's like, no, this is completely different. Okay, and then he told me that he solved the performance issues and the cost of maintenance issues. And I was hooked, so I joined, I'm all in. So over the next 10 minutes, I'm going to tell you about a new distributed architecture for data and money, but more importantly, because I'm not going to bore you with technology, I'm going to tell you about real live solutions, because I think we're going to be ushering in a new wave of innovation. Okay, the problem, well, I don't think I have to tell FIS what the problem is here, but you know, when all of the architectures were built 50, 60 years ago, it was always built on the principle of dumb data. It was incredibly expensive to store information on hardware because hardware is very expensive. So all the investment was put into firewalls to try to protect this information. And it required billions of dollars in intermediaries that are necessary in order to authorize, process, authenticate, you know, access and use of this information. It also led to a lot of additional costs that are associated with reconciliation, because if I move a check or an ACH payment, that's completely separate from the invoice, right? I mean, those are two different things, and what happens if they're out of sync or they have to be reconciled at the end? Extremely expensive. And then last, I don't think I have to convince this audience, the $400 billion of hacks in 2017 is a number that's big and likely to continue in the future. So what's the solution to this? So, Andrzej convinced me that there's a new way to do this. Move from data that's dumb to data that's smart. Right? What is smart data? So effectively encrypt every single piece of data and money in such a way that a bank, who's the issuer, or it could be a certificate authority, can transfer that to another person, and that person can transfer it onward in a very secure manner. The beauty of this is that you've achieved true peer-to-peer transfers without any sort of intermediation. So effectively, you're able to move this with zero marginal cost. It's like an internet transaction. As well as the companies that are now participating can control not just monetary flows, but also data flows, so they can eliminate reconciliation costs. And then last, because this information is encrypted and held by the users, they also can hold their own passwords. Suddenly you don't have a pool of passwords that can be hacked. There's no pot of gold to go after. There's no firewall to get through. So what's so amazing about this? Well, from a performance point of view, this is the reason why I joined. Our technology is already 10 times faster than the next blockchain competitor. And the only reason that this is not faster is because we didn't invest more in more servers when we actually ran that trial. Otherwise, this could be 20 times higher. This is a breakthrough, an absolute breakthrough. What's some of the secret sauce behind our technology? Well, part of it is what I explained to you before, which is this idea of indisputable ownership. So if the bank is, it's like writing a serial number on a dollar bill, if they're issuing the currency, and then that transaction can happen in an encrypted fashion between two parties, I really don't need to have all of the cost and the burden of these heavy cryptocurrency consensus algorithms. So suddenly I can do real currency, I can eliminate all the crypto mining costs, as well as our architecture is one that we spent a lot of effort making sure it was compliant for both data and money. Last year we got our own license from the FCA in the UK, so we're now officially a payment processor. And then we're also able to put documents on chain And last, we have now combined what used to be the situation where effectively money, data, and identity were in separate databases. Now everything is combined together. So we believe this is a breakthrough. Okay, so that's the underlying architecture. On top of that, we have built reusable modules so that we can build solutions for corporates, small businesses, banks, individuals, in a very agile fashion. Now I want to talk about what those solutions are. So indeed, we take our core technology and we discover that there's a few different places where we can innovate. One spot is around content monetization and freemium models. So last year we put 10,000 esports enthusiasts, I don't know if people know anything about esports, like watching League of Legends or Dota online with Twitch. We put them online and we proved the ability to make a microtransaction of as low as 1 penny and still be profitable. And as a result, now we have a relationship with a global media company. And then last, I want to talk about this next example on the next slide. BIK. BIK is the largest credit bureau in Central Eastern Europe, right? Think of this as Equifax, right? They have dozens of banks, tens of millions of customers, hundreds of millions of profiles. They wanted to have new ways of making revenue, and they were super inspired by our technology. So they signed a contract, and they hired us to build new technologies for them and new capabilities. So I'm going to talk about 4 of them. First, document storage. This is an organization that has hundreds of unused, underutilized servers. And so for the banks, they could effectively say, look, we'll take your public documents and we'll take your private documents, we'll put them onto our servers using our distributed architecture. You're able to save 30 to 50% and get better security. So super excited about this. Next, because you're able to encrypt this information and transact it between parties, now it's a case that a bank who needs to send a terms of service, terms of conditions to an end customer, only 2 parties that have access to that is the bank and the end customer. So again, there's no pool of information to be hacked there. With electronic signature, we're able to combine KYC and the legal validity of a signature in order to create proof of delivery. So think about registered mail. Like if I send you registered mail today, you have to sign for it and say, okay, I've received it. And the only way that you can prove delivery is that you have a paper signature. Now we can send this to you electronically, and we know that you've opened it, and that's now is captured and put onto the blockchain so that we know that it's happened. So we've now solved proof of delivery. And then last, think about DocuSign, right? Think about the fact that in some cases, some banks don't even accept DocuSign because there's possibilities of hacking email and things of this nature. Well, we're now able to create a DocuSign on distributed ledger, and over time we're going to add multi-signature capability as well. Okay, so all of this is live now. We're going to do an MVP just in a matter of a month or so, and then we're rolling this out at the end of this year for the first banks. Okay, so just a bit about competition. Indeed, at the top, there's a lot of different payment players in this space that are traditional technology players, as well as on the bottom, companies that are in just the data space. We don't really think about them so much as competitors. I mean, we would love to be the technology provider behind DocuSign. We don't necessarily have to compete with them. And when it comes to the blockchain space, indeed, there's a lot of hype that's out there about cryptocurrencies and blockchain. But the reality is that many of these players are gravitating toward use cases where there's like very, very, very low volumes because they haven't solved the performance issues and they can't scale the way that Billon can. Okay, so why now? Well, first off, regulators are massively frustrated. I mean, they're constantly passing regulations trying to improve the quality of privacy and the integrity of the entire system, and technology is simply not keeping up with what they expect. The second, consumers are putting more information into social media like ever before, and they expect the companies to somehow be stalwarts of this information, and they have no control whatsoever over their data. And now today, smartphone penetration is at all-time high, internet bandwidth is incredibly fast. 10 years ago, you couldn't have done this technology. The first iPhone was only in 2007. So the reason for why now is because, in part, you can, right? This is the moment that the technology is available. We have got an architecture that we think is absolutely breakthrough. And the good news is that our philosophy is disrupt from within. So we're here to give the banks, corporates, and small businesses a new architecture. We're not here to give people a new cryptocurrency. The team we think is absolutely outstanding. There's a picture of Andrew, so please look for him. He's the most amazing technologist that I've ever met, but in addition, he also has a degree from Wharton, so he's an absolutely brilliant businessman as well. There's a picture of myself, which you have already know who I am, but then also we're joined by Robert Kaluza and Jacek Fagula. These are guys who have a lot of experience in developing enterprise solutions and selling these solutions. And the quality of the team is quite evident in the number of awards that we've won. Okay, so we're Billon. This is a company I went all in for, quitting all banking because I was so excited that I can see now that we have a civilized blockchain. Forget the hype about cryptocurrency. This is a new architecture that's going to usher in a new wave of innovation. Thank you very much.